Hey everybody, it's Rick Cowan, Beautiful Beast of Sports, editor for Beautiful Beast of Softball. Today I'm with a couple of parents, a unique perspective, parents of Kennedy Dudley. Can you guys introduce yourselves real quick?
We're Maurice and Brian Dudley. We're out of Sparks, Nevada, originally out of Victoria, Texas. Moved here in 2015, and our daughter is a 2022 shortstop grad who just committed to Idaho State.
Very good. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for reaching out to me about doing this type of interview. I think that it is very important part of the process. It's a unique perspective from parents. And so I really am thankful for this opportunity to talk with you guys.
Sure.
Hey, let's talk about that just for a minute. Being parents, it's obviously, I talk to the kids a lot about time management and, working to get out there and get seen and what they have to do, what their responsibility is in the process. But same question to you guys. It's a big commitment for y'all as well. What y'all's thoughts around it, and especially to other parents that are out there that are looking at possibly chasing other teams and things like that? What would you say to all of that? Same question to both of you guys.
The biggest thing is find out what their goal is. What is it that they want to do? You hear your child say, I want to play, college softball, or I just want to play ball in school. Once we figured out that this is, because she's a multi-sport, so once we figured out, hey, do we want to look at volleyball or do we want to look at softball? She by far chose softball. Then we put down on paper, what are we looking at? Where are you at? What are your levels? And we've always been real with her. If you want to play at this level, this is what you need to be at. These are your speeds that you need. This is your, first to second, all of those, velocity, all of those things had to come into play. She's always had the goal, I want to play D1, but we always had let's start here. You can always start at this level and build up. You can transfer in later, but where are your numbers? And we waited, we sat back, we lost our junior year because of COVID. But we waited, we sat back, we worked on numbers. And, hey, Kennedy, this is where you're at with your speed. This is where you need to be. If you want to get there, you need to go work on that running. You need to work on your sprints. Your grip strength needs to be this. You need to go hit the gym. And she listened and she did all that. So when it was time for evaluations like she did on deck, her numbers were up there. She was able to rate as a 3-star athlete with those numbers. And then that gave her the marketing skill to put out on Twitter and be able to put those numbers out there. So I would say the biggest thing is know your kids' numbers and really be real about what levels they need to be at.
Yeah. Brian, did you get to go to a lot of the tournaments yourself? Are you, where are you at?
No, actually, with a son in college that plays baseball, I typically work 7 days a week. So, you do what you got to do.
I hear it. I'm also a softball coach as well, and I'm also a very busy guy in the corporate world as well. So I understand the balance. It certainly is one that you guys have to balance as well. You guys point on something I want to talk about for just a minute, and that is letting these kids take control of the process themselves and have some responsibility and some ownership in that process. I mean, there's a real life lesson right there in just that. What's y'all's thoughts? Clearly Kennedy's got the fingerprint of you guys on her, but you guys don't live vicariously through her. You've let her take much of the lead, and certainly that's a good reflection on you guys. So what would you say to other parents out there that are maybe having to push a kid?
Accountability. We taught a lot of accountability. We taught it to my son as well. But it was even on good days on the field that she was praised, hey, you did good, you did good. The car ride home was, what could you have done differently? What could you have thrown? You know, I know you chose to throw 3. Would it have been better to throw to 1? You know, why did you make that decision? You know, you do know that you struck out on that. That strikeout's not going to get you where you need, you know. So we held her accountable for a lot. And sometimes you feel like you're beating them down, but then we always made sure we, you know, lifted her back up. Okay, let's go fix that. What did we do different here? But I always questioned, why did you make that play? Did coach say anything? You know, and then there was times that it was like, oh, don't listen to coach. You know, you made a good play. Just because she didn't catch it at home, that was the right decision. You know, you didn't have to throw one. So, you know, we always justified what you did. Let me know when you did it. And then we kind of built from there, but we always held her accountable for it and, you know, made her understand that. And I don't know was never an answer. You know, she would tell me, I don't know why I struck out. That's not an answer, because that means you're going to go back and do it again. So.
Yeah, no, she's obviously a very soft-handed shortstop, and that's kind of the angle that I was promoting her, but it was really her bat that got a lot of it. So, yeah, so she definitely listens. She's definitely a pitch hunter, and she does really well in the box herself.
Yeah. And she knows if she's popping out, she knows she's dipping that back shoulder, and then she comes back, sets the tee lower, and starts working off the tee at a lower angle, you know, and tries to fix it. And she knows.
And my son came from an organization that, plain and simple, if you hit, you don't sit. Yeah. You know, that was the big thing, and that's always what we told her. And we knew with colleges as well, you know, they will find a spot for you on that field if you can hit. So.
Yeah. Well, and she's, you know, very open about, you know, the process has been with me in our interview recently. You know, she talked about that, because I was asking, you know, what was you promoted as, what was you recruited for, and she said, really, you know, I can do anything. And that kind of mindset going into it, boy, that's a coach's dream. You got, you know, that kind of tools on your roster.
And talking to these coaches, the one thing that I'm looking for, athletic. You know, be athletic out there. I know I can put you anywhere. So then comes the bat into play.
But just because her shortstop doesn't mean you can't stick her in left field and she can't catch a pop fly. You know, I mean, it's just, and we got some fielders that are looking as an infield secondary, and it's like they're in the headlights. You know, you shouldn't be that way. You should be able to go play anywhere.
Right. Yeah, the team that I coach is a development team, and so I put a lot of effort in making sure that these kids can play multi spots, because it's an important part of the development process, right? Where they might wind up in the field in a position later on you know, a higher level team within our organization might say one thing, but I like the thought that these kids have brought up that you can put them in.
Yep.
Hey, you know, there's a lot of parents that are out there that, you know, have been through the process of going from one team to another, and I don't know if it's a recruiting thing from coaches or within organizations, but Kennedy and you guys stuck with one organization. Can you talk about the importance of that and in the process for Kennedy?
We did. When we moved here, of course, I didn't know any of the travel ball teams here. I had coached her back at home. I coached a 10, a 12, and a 14U, and I actually had her playing on all 3 of those teams with me so that she could play at different levels and different positions. So when we moved here, it was, you know, I was fresh. I didn't want to start a new team. And I pretty much pulled out of some of their coaching stuff when they were about that 10, 11-year-old. I think that they needed a different perspective, and I could still just be in the back with her doing all the extra work. So a coach did approach us. He asked us to be on his team, and we stuck with him with the whole process. You know, you're going to hear, hey, coach isn't working him enough or doing this, and everything that we felt maybe he was lacking as a coach, we picked up the slack. You know, Brian, hey, she didn't get enough defense. Go work her next day. I didn't like all the hitting in the cages. Okay, we're going to go hit the cages instead the next day. So even though you're with that team, there were things that we worked in the back on our own, as parents saying, and we pay for extra private, hitting lessons just because I don't like some of the timing in the cages and I want her on the faster bat. So we did that. And yes, especially in this area, you get a lot of chasing those bigger teams, the bigger names, thinking that those coaches can get you recruited. At the end of the day, you've got to be able to perform in front of every level. And that's going to come down again to your numbers. Your top coach can make that phone call to a D1, but if you don't perform at a D1 level, you have to start looking at a D2, at a D3, and your NIAs.
Do not ignore the other colleges that, like, you're focusing on D1, but that don't mean you're going to get it. So when you have NAIA or junior colleges or D2s coming at you, don't ignore them.
And it was hard because Kennedy actually, there was some NIAs that she really, really liked, the coaches. And every coach she talked to was, are you aggressive? Because she wanted more pushing. She's not done. She wants more pushing. And that's what she would ask them. And there was some NIAs that she probably would have jumped on quick, but they were like, well, you probably need to be talking to a D1, and they were actually turning their backs on her. There's two for sure that she really liked and would have taken. And they're like, no, you need to go talk to the D1 college. And it's like, it's not that easy, and she just kept working and working on that.
Yeah. Well, I always tell the kids the main point in what we do is try to get them, recruited.
The next
That's
level.
the ultimate goal. But the ideal is that you get, a really good education, right? And the fact that you get to play some softball along the way, that's the bonus part of it.
Yeah. The whole key was, hey, it's to pay your schooling. We did all this so that you could play ball and get your school paid for.
Well, you guys have certainly, you epitomize, the parents that support their kids. Kennedy's been a joy for me to work with and promote through this journey. And I certainly appreciate you guys, along the way as well, wanting to step up here and do this interview, but to kind of give some points out there for some of the other parents. Is there any pitfalls along the way that you guys would caution other parents that are kind of on the journey themselves?
Oh, sure. Don't let your daughter get discouraged by colleges that will ghost them. We went to some camps that we were invited to, and Mom, how long do I wait? How long do I wait to see if he's going to hear, back from? And, she'd write again and text. And by this time you already have their text. So it's like, hey, coach, I really enjoyed your camp. I hope that you still see me. And we wouldn't hear nothing back. So don't let that, discourage, even though she did, one camp, she was on her A game that day. Another camp, she wasn't on her A game and maybe didn't get those phone calls back. And that's okay. That means that wasn't a fit for you. All I kept telling her was, hey, it's God's plan. Whatever he's going to put in front of you is going to be there for you, and just stay on that path. But yeah, just don't let them get down, and know that there's another home for them. We worked a ladder. We secured a JUCO. We just, secured an NIA, then a D2. And once you have those as your leverage, and hey, well, I may not, but I love this coach too, you'll find it. It'll come. And it was hard to even tell some of the other coaches, hey, I'm sorry, but I picked this one. We cried with one of the other ones that we really, really liked, because they've developed a relationship the last 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, sure.
She goes, it hurts, Mom, to tell the other one, I'm not going to go. But she found her niche with Andrew Rich, and she had talked to him when he was at Boise. And then he was one of these coaches that took another state, another change of position. There was 63 coaches that changed head coaching spots this year.
I made it tough also.
And she knew, Mom, I'm not chasing that college. I was chasing that coach, So she put everything into that coach. and really connected with them.
Well, it's certainly, you know, it reflects really well on her. And even in the process of, you know, having to tell another coach that you're not going to go there, but communicating back to that coach, I mean, that's a very adulting thing to be doing as a young person. And that's just good. That's good on you guys. It reflects well on, you know, how y'all are raising her. So that's off to y'all.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, I'm really kind of at the point of the interview. I'd like to just kind of turn it over to you guys, let you guys, you know, say a shout out to whoever you guys would like to. I always like to do that to the kids. It's one of those things I think it's fun to do, but I'd like to turn the floor over to you guys and let y'all kind of wrap it up for us.
Okay. Well, you know, one, we want to thank our parents. You know, they're there, always there. So, and then, you know, my son has helped guide her, help keep her in check, making her feel real all the time. The coaches all along the way, Coach Keith Silva with Nevada Stealth, you know, always being able to call him, and whether it was good calls or bad calls, and sometimes he would call us the crazy mamas, you know, of the team, but we always, you know, he always knew it was for the right reasons. And high school coaches along the way. And we've had some great dads that have been involved. You know, there's sometimes that Brian's working and they're like, hey, if she wants to come hit with us, or do you need me to do this? And all the travel ball dads, you know, they're always there. Good. Sometimes we laugh that they're the second husbands, you know, helping all of that. Everybody's family out there. And, you know, just, there's everybody along this journey that we'd like to thank, and we have people back at home that their daughters play D1, and we have called them and text them, hey, what are we looking at? What are we thinking? So use your village. Use your
resources.
Yeah, use your village, use your resources. You know, your second resource that had come to us, used you to help with the marketing and all those aspects, and just let your kid do the work. Let them email, but know that it's in their heart and they have to do that work. They have to, you know, we're their motivator. We're also their real perspective, but if they want it, they need to chase it, because nobody's going to do the work for them later on.
Yeah. And that's a really good word, because we live in a world that in many circles, people do feel somewhat entitled, right? You know, they just show up and they think they should have it, right? So that's a good
That's
word.
her favorite word. What makes you so entitled?
Yeah. Well, I do. I wholeheartedly believe that these kids, you know, I exist just to give them a little bit of promotion. My nonprofit exists to try to keep kids participating in sports. I believe there's a lot of life lessons in it. So I want to continue in it as well. But thank you guys, to both of y'all for agreeing to do this and for jumping on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Y'all have a great day, okay? It's good to see y'all.
You too. You too. You stay safe.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.